Hello. Howdy. Responsibility. I feel like a major honor. The character of Wonder Woman is one that has been passed down for generations. My grandmother loved her, my mom loved her, and it was such different versions of her. And to see how she's evolved now into a character that my daughter loves and fits her perspective of what female representation should look like. And to see her evolve into this space has just been incredibly gratifying, and I'm just, you know, I'm humbled and amazed that I get to be a part of that legacy. And every single time I see like a hashtag Wonder Woman Wednesday, and I'm like, and I'm part of that. It's actually just very exciting, you know.
What do you hope to bring to this version of Wonder Woman?
What I've always loved is the playfulness of showing some of her naivete with our customs and all of these different things. But what I'm really grateful for is that this iteration of Wonder Woman in this film is coming over many years of a build-up, is coming from now a live-action Wonder Woman film that's just broken all records, has come up and is particularly strong women's movement that's been really pushing for better representation. And so this film, as much as it goes back to the origin story of Wonder Woman, Steve Trevor coming and landing at the Mascara and her leaving and going out into America and the greater world and, being that ambassador for her culture. It's also very female-centered. A lot of the characters are female and the good and the bad side. And, so you're going to, the things like Gina Davis Institute talks about, it's just like women, even in their own films, there's still less female voices heard when you count out how many words are said by a woman versus a man, and it's infuriating, and that's not the case with this. And we get into the nuance in a modern way, yes, with the old nostalgic origin story, but in a modern way really explore, what does that mean, her mere presence being around, even with the best intention, being all-powerful in so many different ways. How does your mere presence create conflict and confrontation? And then how do you grapple and deal with that when actually you're trying to do good and still negative outcomes come out of it? And those nuances and complexities I think are really important to get into and delve into, and it is the reason why I think we go back to these same stories, is for another iteration of it and perspective for us to explore.
The difference between live action and voice.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you've done a lot of live action voice stuff, so you're
Yeah.
fantastic.
Thanks.
The difference between working on the live action project with voicing, which is a very different piece.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find it?
Oh, I love it. I've been doing voice stuff for years, and some of my favorite actors are people who've always done voice stuff, like Tim Curry, who's the best in any and everything. And so I love that idea of these cartoons and animated films and things that I watched as a kid that inspired me, and you'd make that sound again, and you'd just laugh, and it was always funny, and but now I get to actually do that for real. And how do you make that sound and get that emotion translated? It's not enough for me to just think about it and try. I actually have to swing a sword, and I have to jump up and down and try different versions of what that could possibly mean to demonstrate the difference between a grunt from being smashed by a mythical creature versus an effort to of her strength to actual pain. And it's awesome. We can wreck the vocals, but it's really fun and it's really awesome.
How do you do the voice? You've been Wonder Woman, but also Batgirl in the Batman movie.
Uh-huh.
Sensitive. What's your relationship to comic book culture?
I love comic book culture. My uncle Gus is a comic book artist. So that was my kind of first introduction into it. Actually, my grandmother was the one who kind of got him into it. She used to collect, it was, for her, she was remembered when these characters first came to life. So she had the number one Superman. She had the number one of all of these different ones and lost them all, if you can imagine. We don't talk about that at all as a tragedy in our family. So it's amazing that my uncle, who found a passion for it and loved it and was drawing Spider-Man in his room as a little kid, then ended up getting to actually draw for Spider-Man and DC World and independent publications as well and create a whole life over it, and to see how much it's grown. Like, I remember, he's the one who introduced me to Frank Miller and Neil Gaiman and all of these incredible people. And so then, when Sin City, the script comes around and everyone's looking at it like, I don't know what that is, because this is pre-300, really like the huge tentpole, comic movies that we're doing. It was like, I absolutely knew how awesome this was going to be. And then here comes my uncle to visit on set, and they're talking about like blue pencils and special papers and stuff, super nerdy. And it's just really wonderful to see where Frank's gone. I mean, now, I'm voicing Wonder Woman. Here's the man who brought us Dark Knight. And, then he comes and draws a cover for me for this short that I wrote of a new character called La Borinqueña. And Wonder Woman, actually, they lent Wonder Woman to the cover so it could have a better sell. And then the money and from proceeds from that went to help with the reconstruction on the ground in Puerto Rico. Like, it's just the power of comic world has been something that's been really tremendous in my entire family. And to see it on the ground, really, and to see how big these cons have gotten. And, again, like Neil Gaiman's Sandman inspired short Death is in here with Wonder Woman. Like, it all just feels like the universe is combining in some kind of way, and it just is one of those reminders that I'm doing the right thing, I'm on the right path, and I'm part of one of the most incredible things that all of us share, which is storytelling, and it's powerful. Go for it. Woman.
We've heard a lot about from your directors and producers about how open-hearted you are, and also what a warrior you are. And how
Oh,
you're the
word?
perfect Wonder Woman.
All right, you can send the checks. I'm just kidding.
And so I was just wondering if you always kind of felt a kinship with her, or if it's something that's grown over your
With Wonder
life
Woman?
or- Yeah.
I've always definitely felt a kinship with her, but she's always been an interesting kind of character because there's a line with her, like, Wonder Woman would kill, and, she's got that olive branch that she'll extend with diplomacy and being a great ambassador, but she's also got that sword in the other hand and willing to go to battle. And I've always found that very fascinating, especially in contrast with some of the other characters. Superman wasn't that guy, it was the goody two-shoes. And so anything could kind of happen in a different way with Wonder Woman than some of the other ones that I grew up with. And I loved that. I loved her mythical, magical kind of origins and this Amazonian world of powerful women and her sexuality and like just so many, the weird origin story even of just the people who created her. I mean, it's pretty wild. So it's, it's just an interesting deep dive into our culture and into our world. And I'm grateful that she's still around to impact people for the greater good. But there's nuance, there's complexity, and that's what I like about her.
Gary wanted to ask you one very quick question.
Go.
Always one more from Joel.